Good afternoon. My name is Marinella Favot, and from the University of Udine, Department of Economics and Statistics. This paper, this research has been prepared with Luca Grassetti, which dealt with all the statistical data. So the presentation outline is this: definitions, aim of the research, theoretical framework, data description, model, specification, results, and discussions. Definition: we are in the WEEE model project, so e-waste is known to everybody, and is very important to study in, European-wise, but also worldwide e-waste, because it's an important stream of waste. It's increasing by 4 to 5% each year. And of course, it contains hazardous substances, also precious metals. If we want to study e-waste in Europe, but also in other contexts, we have also to study a policy principle, which is EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility Principle, which makes producer responsible for the end of life of their products, shifting responsibility from the municipality to the producers. And EPR has been introduced and incorporated to the circular economy paradigm, which aims at closing the loop of product life cycle. In particular, this research is focusing on the collection phase of this circular economy paradigm. We find a definition by Vincent and Reyes, 2008, saying that the success of our recycling program depends on the active and sustained participation of citizens in the correct separation and collection of recyclable waste. That's why we concentrated with this research on the collection phase. As we know, the first WEEE directive had a goal to reach, which was 4 kilos per habitant per year, whereas the new, the recast directive has got higher goals based on the quantity of EEE put on the market or the quantity of the e-waste. The aim of the research, there are two aims. First is to analyze the collection results of the Italian WEEE system, and to find out which are the influencing variables. So why some regions are collecting more, which are the variables that can be addressed to help the collection results. And second, we also analyze the efficiency of the 20 Italian regions to see which is the best. It wasn't a game, but just to understand the best performers among the 20 Italian regions. Therefore, we studied theoretical framework, like in a research study. You look at the literature, relevant literature, in order to identify the determinants of e-waste collection, and also to justify our modeling choices. Apart from, I made a mistake with the colors, but in red, we have got the technical organizational variables, and the other one is the social, economical, and demographical variables. So from all the studies that were made previously, we found out that these are the potential variables that can influence the recycling results. So age, the age of the population; gender, presence of female and male in the population; incomes, GDP per capita; household size, meaning how many people live in a house, in a family; education, which is the level of education, meaning we just said people with at least a diploma; and the rate of immigrants. The technical variables are the collection present, which are the number of collection points per 100,000 inhabitants. Characteristic of the territory, if it's a hilly place, plain or mountains. Population density. Macro regions, we split it in 3, north, center, and south macro region. And also the presence of metropolis. We check if it can be a difference between regional administrations if there is also a metropolis in that region, and the percentage of waste separately collected. So these are all the variables we took into consideration. Data from ISPRAT, which is an organization in Italy, part of the Ministry of Environment, CDC RAE data, which is the national organizational body, and ISTAT as well. The dependent variable we wanted to test, as I said before, is the collection results, meaning the kilogram collected per inhabitant per year. As I said, up to 2015, the collection rates, the goal was 4 kilos per habitant, which Italy reached, but then it stabilized at 4 kilos. So we have to get a higher results. We tested 3 hypotheses. Of course, the first one is to see if there are more collection points in a region, then the result would be to get, to collect more e-waste, of course. Then the second hypothesis was to distinguish the 3 macro regions, because there are pretty big difference between them. And the third hypothesis was to test if having a high level of separate household collection of either like packaging or bio-waste was a good predictor of the e-waste collection. So these are the 3 hypotheses we tested. We started with the data analysis these are the last data available on the recycling results from the CDC RAE 2015. As we can see, the per capita collection rates are the following ones. The best performer is Val d'Aosta, northwest, Trentino, and then Friuli, Venezia Giulia. But then this is not, the overall picture, because as we can see from this second map, the collection points, the presence of collection points in the region is this one. So there is a correlation, of course. The more you've got collection points in a region, the more you collect. But we tested it with the statistical tools, of course. First of all, we analyzed the data based on splitting all the data from 2008 to 2015 by year. And we saw that 2008 was a different, the starting year where all the system started, so it wasn't very good in terms of performances. Whereas the other years are very similar. You can see that from the plot A. And the plot B showed the difference between center, north, and south. And the south region is slightly underperforming compared to the center and the north regions, areas. Eventually, if you remember all the variables we showed you at the beginning, some of them has been just excluded from the model because of statistical issues like multicollinearity issues or they weren't statistically significant. So the estimated model includes the collection point presence in the territory, 2 dummies, the south and the north dummy, so the regional parts. Year 2008, as I said, performs in a different way than the following years. We kept the population density as a variable, an independent variable that can influence the collection rate. The presence of female, we will see later the results, and the percentage of household waste separately collected. Data maybe here is a bit, all the data show that basically if we increase the number of collection points in the region, we get a higher collection rates in these terms. If we get a 0.25% more of collection points in the region, we get an additional 1% of collection rates. So this is a really linear correlation and is very, strong. On the other hand, apart from population density, performs in the opposite way, meaning that the region with a higher population have got collect less than the region with less populated areas. And then the percentage of female has got an impact. The more we have got female present in the population, the higher are the collection rates. And of course, as we thought at the beginning with our hypothesis, if the collection of e-waste is included in a more wider program of separate household collection, we collect more. The second purpose was to see which were the best performers region in Italy, and we use a statistical model called panel data stochastic frontier model, and we see that the more efficient regions are in really Sardinia, Sicily, and Tuscany. So the best practice are there. Why? Because basically, given the collection points present in the region, which are not many, they still collect a lot. And so we can say that the results, if we take the first slide, per capita collection rate, and this mean efficiency level, at the beginning we saw the best performance, we thought they were Val d'Aosta, Trentino, Friuli, Venezia Giulia, while given, as I said, the collection points in the region, the Tuscany, Sardinia, and Sicily are better performer. So the results are the following. First, the hypothesis we tested. So, of course, if we increase the collection present in the territory, we increase the collection rate. The South region underperform, but given the resources they've got, they perform. Some of them, they are still good performers, some of them are not, as we saw before in the slide. If, as we thought with the third hypothesis, if we got a high level of separate households collected, also e-waste collection is higher. Then, as we saw, the year 2008 underperforms because it was the beginning of the program. The female present increase the collection rate, and population density decreases the collection rate. Conclusions. So in order to achieve higher collection performance, as we said, as requested by the second WEEE directive, we should increase the collection point present, which doesn't necessarily mean like municipal collection points. As we saw here in Genova, there could be other type of collection points where citizens can discharge the e-waste. Give more attention to the South region because they are performing well with the resources they've got, but still their performance are pretty low. One important point is, it was saying also by Ilaria before, is to include e-waste collection within household collection programs. So include e-waste in the wider collection program and give information to the citizens about the possibility to collect e-waste. Increase awareness of the male population, as we saw, because the female population are more active in recycling, collecting actually. Consider alternative collection methods for cities, because as we saw, if there is a higher density, we collect less. Therefore, maybe we should think, like you did it here in Genova, alternative methods of collections. Thank you for your attention and for inviting me. Thank you.